Jacob, because you are in it, just take us inside what you're seeing and hearing and reporting today.
Nicole, when Governor Newsom says the National Guard is being used as pawns, he's talking about these folks behind me. And whether or not they want to be here, they sign up for the mission and they're here today. And what you're looking at is deployed members deployed by the President of the United States of America standing outside the Metropolitan Detention Center. And this is about the extent of what they're doing, standing around, because that is what they are allowed to do under the law. You mentioned that loading dock where National Guard troops were reportedly sleeping, and the San Francisco Chronicle had some pictures. I can't tell you for sure if it is, but JB Rudigarama, come with me. There's a loading dock right here inside this federal building. This, as I mentioned, is the Metropolitan Detention Center, where ICE brings detainees. It is a federal building in downtown LA. We've seen vehicles come in and come out. I'm not going to stick a microphone in these guys' faces because they're not here to be interviewed by somebody like me, and they may not even want to be here. But they're not going to talk because they're under orders from the President of the United States to stand in front of this loading dock, basically, and carry out whatever mission the President has tasked them with doing. I want to remind everybody, it is not a mission that Governor Gavin Newsom wanted them to do. It is not a mission that the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, asked for. And it's a mission now, as you mentioned at the top of the show, Nicole, that excuse me, both the Attorney General of California, Rob Bonta, and the governor are now suing with a temporary restraining order to get them recalled from being here and put them back under the control of the federal government. Some of the stuff, you read some of it, but I thought it was so important that I printed it out and brought it here with me. The defendants, including President Trump and Secretary of Defense Hegseth, have sought to bring military personnel and a warrior culture, that's what you're looking at least the allegation is from the governor, to the cities and towns where Americans work and go to school. They, quote unquote, seized control of 4,000 members of the National Guard and 700 active duty Marines. All of this was unlawful, the governor says. The President and Secretary Hegseth have made clear publicly and privately what they want to bring the Marines here to do is not stand outside the federal building, which confirms reporting from our colleague Julia Ainsley and others. These are unlawful deployments. And here's what I want. In fact, I want to show you. JB, come with me. Nicole, this is the extent of it, okay? This is the extent of what the National Guard is doing right now in Los Angeles. Basically, standing face to face with really a media circus and some people who are here because they legitimately believe that I should not be conducting raids at Home Depots and at workplaces in the Fashion District down the street. And they're protesting ICE. The National Guard, if they weren't here, wouldn't be the ones being protested. But President Trump has placed the National Guard in between people that want to protest for the rights of migrants and essentially this building. If that's the loading dock that is in the photographs in the San Francisco Chronicle, that's where these folks have to go and stay, whether they're prepared or not. And the governor said and has said publicly that they sent them here literally without the most basic rations in order to carry out whatever this mission is that they are here to carry out. And by the way, remember, they are the California National Guard. Just like the rest of the people in this community, they are from it and of it. Their parents live in California, their cousins live in California, their siblings live in California, they went to school in California. They're just as much of this community as I am or anybody out here who is protesting right now. Again, just to repeat, on a mission that they didn't ask for, nor did the governor, who normally controls them, deploy them for. And I think it is really important to remember that when you see people out here causing a fuss late in the evening because they're upset with what the president has done.
Jacob Subraw, it looks like, at least where you're standing, there's more media than protesters. Can we see can we see that shot again? What the protest looks like?
Come on, JB, I want to show how and Nicole, you're exactly right. There's just as many, this way, JB, there want just as many media here as protesters. And I think that that's right. Like, look, Nicole, across the street, this has become sort of the focal point for everybody around the world when they're thinking about what's happening in Los Angeles. But that's why I wanted to be at the Home Depot with you yesterday. This isn't a story about lots of media people standing on the street waiting for people to show up tonight and throw rocks and throw bottles because they're upset about this deployment. This is a story about the people of Los Angeles, and some of them are here. Let's keep going for a second. You have people here that are protesting ICE. People are upset that members down on this end, Nicole, come with me, JB, this way, is where some of the protesters have assembled. And they're here and they're legitimately mad. But there are just as many, I would say here, members of the media, as happen in these circumstances, and maybe even members of the National Guard, as there are people here who want to say, look, this is about our community. We don't want this here.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. I mean, is there a...
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Is there a scenario where there are members of the National Guard who could be asked to protect ICE agents who are patrolling their streets and their towns and their communities and potentially their family members?
There is no doubt about it as these Bearcat-style vehicles roll in here, Nicole. And in fact, I'll take it a step further. I don't have confirmation of this, and I don't know for certain. But there is a pretty good chance, Nicole, there's a lot of vehicles rolling up right now, actually live, that members of the California National Guard may very well have undocumented family members, parents or cousins, or you name it. Most people who live in California know somebody who's undocumented. It wouldn't be a stretch to believe that people who are deployed for the National Guard, whether they want to or not, have undocumented family members or people in their close network that are undocumented as well. And I think that's just a fact of the matter, knowing what's happening here in California and who lives here.
Can I ask you like a baseline question? I mean, someone said to me that there are protests on 3 blocks. I mean, what is the size and scale of the protest? And is there any scenario where it outpaces anything that the city of Los Angeles hasn't been able to contain in its history?
Almost certainly not, because, and I'll show you the zone. This is the Civic Center, the middle of downtown Los Angeles. So here in Alameda, this has been sort of the main stretch of where the protests are. Last night, they stretched down into that area, which is known as the Arts District and Little Tokyo. That's a lovely part of downtown Los Angeles. But this is about the extent of where we have seen all of the action over the course of the last several days. The Los Angeles Police Department has between 8,000 and 9,000 officers, down from nearly 10,000 at its peak. But that's a lot of officers. It's for a city the size of Los Angeles, 500 square miles. There's always people advocating they need more. But for a protest and an event of this size, most certainly they can handle it. We have Lakers parades for championships, Dodgers parades for championships that are far bigger. 1 million people come out into the streets, and the police department handles that. There's also the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, which also has thousands of officers who works in a mutual aid system with the local police department. The local police chief, Jim McDonnell, the LAPD, did say when things get out of hand, after they go through that mutual aid response system, the National Guard can and will get called in certain circumstances. And he was thinking, considering whether or not it would be more helpful given the series of events that have played out here since the president called out the National Guard. But by no means did they want it, or did they request it, or did they feel like they needed it on the front end of all of this.